County Regional History Center. We thank you all very much for coming this evening down here to downtown Orlando. My name is Pam Schwartz, and I'm the Executive Director of the History Center. We'd like to start by welcoming first our families who have contributed their own stories to this exhibition, allowing us to preserve their own family stories and experiences that have allowed for learning, healing, and education, and we hope that others will grow from their experience of visiting and experiencing your own stories when they come to our museum. We'd like to recognize any elected officials in attendance this evening. I know that we had City Commissioner Patty Sheehan here earlier. Do we have anybody else here tonight? No, all right. Our VIP evening event sponsor is Advent Health, and we have Alex here with us, and he'll be stepping up to speak in just a couple of moments. Of course, we love our sponsors. They make these types of events and exhibitions possible. Also, our incredible project partners, the Orange County Drug-Free Office, especially Tom Hall, as well as Teresa Clower and Barbara Francois from the Into Light Project, who made this entire thing a reality. While unfortunately not all of our invited guests could join us this evening, we do want to thank Mayor Jerry Demings for making it possible and Dr. Volkow for sending video messages in their own places. We would also like to thank our team at Orange TV, who is always with us, making the technology side of things possible and allowing us to broadcast far beyond our own walls. Tom Hall, the director of the Orange County Drug-Free Office, approached the History Center in June of 2021 to see if we would be interested in hosting the Into Light project. We have a lot of opportunities throughout every year from various partners and community members who ask us to do exhibitions or to somehow get involved in doing programming. But we knew right away that this was something that we were going to be interested in. And Tom put us into touch with the Into Light project team, Barbara and Teresa. They shared with us the powerful work they'd done in several other states to that point and will continue to do in others. And we just knew that we wanted to be that local host site for this really important and powerful exhibition. We wanted to be able to be a part of that in some small way to trying to change the conversation around addiction and to raising awareness about substance use disorder. Through the discussions with Into Light and Tom, we recognized that this very important exhibition was also going to do something else. It was going to give us a gateway and enable us and encourage us to start building our collection in a more thoughtful and inclusive way and making sure that the stories like you see upstairs, the experiences that our families have had are also preserved for history, and that someday, throughout time, through this exhibition and also in the future, we'll be able to look back at these stories and these experiences and learn from them and also understand a little piece of our community even better. This opportunity has presented so many different things to our museum, not only finding these new project partners, but also meeting all of the families. Our project did become a little bit different. We have the artworks, we have the portraits, and we have storytelling, but we wanted to go a little bit further and really understand the experiences, and so we broadened this and started doing an oral history collection with the families, of which I believe many of you have participated. And those stories, like I said, will live on in our archive and in our collection into perpetuity to help to share these experiences. These portraits and these stories share that these individuals were and continue to be far more than their addiction. And so is the case for thousands of individuals who struggle with substance use disorder every day. Tonight, you'll hear remarks from several individuals and offices who are on the front lines of trying to make a difference around this conversation and around this situation. With that, I'll first introduce Alex Garcia Barbon Monjillo, Vice President of Behavioral Health at Advent Health.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Tom, for putting us in contact. And it is a pleasure for us, Advent Health, to be participating in such a remarkable experience and a remarkable work of art. And I'm Alex Garcia Barbon, and I oversee the behavioral health services here for Advent Health in our Central Florida division. We're glad to be here, we're glad to be part of this project, and we're glad that we were approached to be a sponsor for this event. When we learned about the Into Light project, we wanted a place at the table. What it stands for, what it presents, we want to be part of that. And therefore, we said, absolutely, we would love to sponsor the event. We would love to be a sponsor, and we would love to continue the relationship and continue building that relationship so that more projects like this are brought to our Central Florida area. These projects are the type of projects that bring awareness that in our communities doesn't exist. Awareness that presents substance abuse as a moral issue, because that's what's going on in our country, that substance abuse is more looked at as a moral issue. It's looked at as a choice that the person makes instead of being looked at as a disease and as an illness, as something that an individual gets into due to mental health disorders or due to traumatic experiences in their lives, and it's the only way that they find to find relief from those things. So as part of that, Advent Health, we are really working with our officials. We're working with offices like Tom Hall's office. We're working with our partners. We're working with places like Central Florida Cares to look at what is it that we need to do, what is it that we need to change in our community. Because obviously, the way that we have been doing behavioral health, substance abuse, and mental health is not working. Because if it was working, we would not be looking at the number one cause of death right now for males between the ages of 18 and 45 is overdose deaths. And there's more people dying from overdose than those that die from COVID-19, motor vehicle accidents, cancer, and suicide combined. That was in 2020, a year ago. So Advent Health, what we want to do is begin thinking outside the box. Stop looking and stop doing the same thing, expecting different results. Because that's what we have been doing as a community. We have been doing the same thing and approaching substance abuse and mental health the same way, expecting different results. But unfortunately, the unfortunate thing is that the rate continues to increase and we continue to do things the same way, not seeing a decrease in those rates of mental health issues and substance abuse disorder. It's for that if you do not remember anything from tonight's event, of what we say, of what the speakers say, I want you to remember this. I would like for you to remember that addiction is not a moral issue. That addiction is a mental health issue. I believe that if we want to make an impact, we must treat it as such, as a mental health issue. We need to stop treating mental health the way that we have treated it for years. We need to change our approach and develop a system of care that shifts dramatically from doing things to and for people to working with them in partnerships to promote recovery. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this evening and have a blessed evening.
Thank you so much, Alex, for those thoughts. Next, we'd like to invite Danny Banks, Deputy County Administrator and Director of Public Safety for Orange County.
Thank you all so much. It's really my pleasure on behalf of Mayor Demings actually to be here with you tonight. The mayor apologizes he couldn't make it personally, but this matter is so important to him. Many of you may know the mayor has come from nearly 40 years, over 40 years of experience initially in law enforcement. I have over 30 years of experience in law enforcement. I see our UCF Police Chief Carl Metzger combined over 100 years of law enforcement, seeing the opioid crisis in Central Florida. But I'll tell you, you would think with that years in law enforcement that our focus might be solely as law enforcement being the only solution to the opioid crisis. And we recognize that is not true. Alex made some great points there that I think are really relevant to this conversation. Law enforcement is not the solution necessarily to the opioid overdose crisis. We have to concentrate also on the other things that are important in Orange County, which are education, but also treatment. And when I talk about treatment, I talk about viable treatment options, not a treatment that occurs overnight or over 30 days. It has to be sustained. And that's an opportunity that we have to improve on in a society. Alex made a great point to focus on. You know, the last 2 years, we've all been consumed with the topic of COVID-19. Every single night in the news, we still hear how many deaths occurred due to COVID-19 every night. I wish we could still focus that amount on the opioid overdose deaths, not only in Central Florida and Orange County, but in our state, in our nation. The numbers way outweigh what we see in COVID-19, traffic accidents, many, many other things. I wish we could have that continued focus nationally to every day here. Right now in Orange County, there are people dying of overdose due to opioids. And if we could still prioritize it as a community that way, we might get to some better solutions. We might save some lives. And I'm so appreciative of the family members and friends who are here today trying to continue to emphasize that message. It's through you all that that message might reach ultimately a family whose loved one, whose spouse, whose child could be saved. So I'm respectful of your time that you've spent with us and help us to encourage that message. We in Orange County, Mayor Demings is certainly committed to those things I mentioned, not just the support of law enforcement, but also sustained education and treatment efforts, sustained efforts that can make a difference in someone's life. I do want to point out we have a particular judge here who has been important in Orange County courts. That's Judge Alicia Lattimore. That's our treatment court judge in Orange County. Thank her for her commitment and being with us tonight. I can't see you, I'm sorry, it's too bright, but I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you tonight and help emphasize this important issue. With that, we actually have a message from Mayor Demings, who wanted to speak personally to you on video.
Good evening. I'm Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. I would like to thank you for attending the VIP opening celebration of the Florida Into Light project. We are proud to host this exhibition at the Orange County Regional History Center. The event focuses on helping families who have lost a loved one exit from the shadows of stigma, shame, and guilt into the light. We have 41 families from across the state who have submitted photos for a hand-drawn portrait and an interview with a professional biographer. The pictures and biographies serve as a reminder that a stigmatized death does not define a loved one. They are defined by how they lived, not how they died. Your stories need to be told. We must join together to support one another and work on sensible solutions to address the opioid epidemic that impacts all of us. So tonight, we take a step forward. I would like to recognize staff at the Regional History Center and the Drug-Free Office for making tonight a reality. In addition, I want to thank Advent Health for sponsoring tonight's opening reception and for your ongoing commitment to change the narrative about substance use disorders. Every day, we have a choice to move out of the shadows of stigma and into the light of hope. Thank you and enjoy tonight's exhibition.
I know that message was very important to Mayor Demings. So with that, Pam made a great preliminary introduction a few minutes ago. I'm sure you're all familiar with him, but really the glue that brought this together is the director of our drug-free office, Tom Hall. He's been such an asset to Orange County since he joined our team a couple of years ago. And really, he's the glue that brought this together. We have a great advantage to have him as part of our team and really championing some great causes in Orange County that will move us into the future. So it's my pleasure, Tom, to bring you up and introduce you to the group. Thank you.
Well, I'm not a in front of the camera guy. I like working in the behind the scenes. So this is a little awkward. So I'll do the best I can. You know, I'm so honored to be part of this. You know, life is about showing up, and I've been given the opportunities to be part of things that are much bigger than I, and it's humbling. And Into Light is one of those things. I got a cold call about hosting a exhibition in Florida, And it's interesting. Teresa Clower and Barbara Francois are the biographer is Barbara, and Teresa is the artist. She reminded me yesterday that our first call, I stood her up. So I saw In the Light on my calendar and had no idea what that was, so I figured I didn't really have to attend that Zoom meeting. But thankfully, she was persistent. And then once I realized my error, and I apologized several times, I was able to bring this together. When her and I talked, I immediately walked out of my office and told the staff, we're going to make this happen. I don't care what I have to do, we're going to make it happen. And the support of Director Banks, the support of my boss, Yolanda Martinez, and ultimately Mayor Demings made that happen because they gave me the green light. And I'm forever grateful to live and to work in a community that allows me to work for the greater good. And to have that green light is so important. And I see a lot of heads nodding, and I imagine a lot of you work in big bureaucracies, and you know how hard it is for things to change. Orange County is a dynamic, Orange County government is a dynamic entity that allows change to occur. And that's why I'm here, and I will continue to be here. So enough about me. I want to talk about Into Light for just a moment, and Teresa is going to come share her vision. But Into Light is really about it's a celebration. It's a way to reduce stigma. And I think stigma is so important because when we look at what's worked from a public health perspective, we find that when you reduce stigma, then that's when things happen. And case in point, when we look at from 1987 to 1997, at the peak of that, of the AIDS crisis, in 1995, 41,000 people died. And then in year 9 and 10, that dropped all the way to 13,000. So we know something worked. We know that the community came together. We know that the policymakers came together and made it work. When we look at 10 years of the opioid crisis, from 2010 to 2020, we see that 91,000 people died in 2020. So we haven't seen that decrease yet. And this year we expect those numbers to be higher. That's why we're here tonight. That's why Teresa's message is so important, because we have to find the will to make a change. We have to find the will to rise above the stigma and into the light. Teresa?
It's actually Teresa and Barbara. Welcome, everyone. This is about, like Tom said, Pam said, about a year in the working, this exhibition that you're viewing tonight. And we're just amazed at how it's all come together. And more on that in a bit. Before that, though, I'd like to say that Tom is a kind of a humble fellow, as you could probably tell, and we were referred to him because he is a national spokesperson and a leading advocate in the field of addiction. And here he is right in your own Orange County drug-free office. And he brings unbelievable leadership and passion to this particular topic, and that has been his lifelong work. And so you all are incredibly fortunate to have him at the helm, along with all the other officials in Orange County who clearly are very committed to this issue. So, Into Light, Florida. It's the 6th exhibition in the country. And the way we have this designed is that each state will eventually have its own unique exhibition of 41 people who have died from drug overdose in that particular state. I get the question all the time, why 41? How many of you wondered that? Yeah, everybody. And that's the exact reason I did that. I wanted people to say, why 41, and have an opportunity to talk about the numbers. And that at the time that Intolite was founded in 2019, 4 months after my son died, it was 5, that number represented 5 people died that number represented, 41 represented the number of people every 5 hours who died. Unfortunately, that has increased now. So as we go further on out, I think we're closer to 7 or 8 now who have passed 7 or 8 hours. And I got that all confused, didn't I? I completely messed that up. But anyway, you get my point, right? So I wanted that question asked. So Orange County Regional History Center opened their arms to this project. And it has been many, many conversations, but the end result of that is truly remarkable. Every aspect of this exhibition has been very, very carefully thought through. And this center does not shy away from hard issues. And you have to think about history centers and what we all know of history centers. This particular center, under the leadership of Pam Schwartz, has looked at history in the making and said we need to be part of that. So the Pulse nightclub, she was at the forefront of gathering pieces of history as that was unfolding. And the same thing is true right now in terms of drug overdose deaths in the state of Florida, and in particular Central Florida. That this is history, and 100 years from now, those oral histories that she was talking about, and that needs to be underscored a bit because it's the only state in all 6 that we've done that has thought to do oral histories. We're hoping that continues in other states. But the oral histories and narratives and your loved ones' portraits are all going to be archived, and they will become part of a legacy, unfortunately, a very sad part in the history of our country, but it nevertheless is a part of our history, and we need to be mindful of that. There are certain staff members here that I have to bring complete attention to. Catherine Duffy is the chief curator in this center, and Catherine deserves a round of applause. I mean, Catherine, I don't know where you are, but you're out there somewhere, and you have just brought this whole exhibition to another level. It's going to be very hard to go to other states and expect anything quite this beautiful, but you can be sure that I will take pictures and have you on the phone with whomever telling them how to do it. So she brought a passion and a kindness and a professionalism that is just beyond really words. So thank you, Catherine. It's been a real pleasure working with you. I would like to also recognize, I don't know where Becky Nickel might be, but Becky's up above us, where she belongs, in the sky. She's like a little angel. Becky Nickel is from the Orlando area. She has lost her own son, Alex. Today is Alex's birthday, incidentally. And Becky moved to North Carolina a few years back, and I befriended her there, met her there, and she has been an unbelievable volunteer, and she opened the doors in Orlando for us to find Tom and others. So we're very, very fortunate. Volunteer opportunities are in abundance in our organization. Just a little hint there. Okay, so brief history here. Intolite It was founded just after my own son Devin died, February 4th, 2018. Devin was 32. He died of fentanyl poisoning. And my daughter suggested I do a portrait of him. I'd never drawn a portrait in my life. That's a miracle. And I did his portrait, and that was the inspiration for this entire project, which is now rolling out nationally, like I said. And so Into Light it's a lot more than the beautiful narratives that Barbara writes. She and I are really joined at one hip. I used to say we're joined at the hips, and then she goes, no, we're not joined at the hips, we're joined at the hips. Anyway, Barbara and I work together, and so narrative writing and portrait writing, and we are really rolling this out, as I said, and it's so much more than the narratives and the portraits in that, like Tom talked about, it's education, okay? So that's the hook. What we're offering today in this beautiful display is the hook. And then beyond that is the conversation. And that's where we want to put a human face on this disease. We want to say these people were loved. My son was loved. He was educated. He had his dark side and his light side, and he shouldn't be defined just by that dark side. So we want that conversation to happen, and this is the easiest way we knew of having that happen. So we have to continue that conversation, right? And it's not a moral failing. It is a disease. So much in the spirit of the AIDS quilt, this project will culminate after 50 states in one large, massive exhibition. I hope I'm still alive. I think I'll be 85 at that time, but that's okay. I'm cool with that. But when that happens, then we will have an entire national representation of all these people that were loved and lived very productive and happy lives, but they also had a disease. So you all are what we call our points of light. You can help change conversation and make it easier for other people to understand that we're all human. So, and I'd like to end my comments by simply thanking all of the families that have submitted their loved ones to this project. I call this a community-based project, and it is combining all of your energy, your loved ones' energies, Barbara's, mine, all of the staff. We combine in this project. No piece of that could be missing. If there was, it wouldn't be a project. So thank you all for everything you've done to entrust your loved ones to us. And please continue that conversation and try as hard as you can to keep that light shining on our loved ones and the beauty that they had to offer the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara, Teresa, and Into Light Project. Thank you for your incredible work, not only upstairs on our walls, but also the work you do for everyone here, for our hearts and for our healing, and for everybody that you provide that little bit of warmth to. To close our formal part of the portion tonight, we'll have a brief video message from Dr. Nora Volkow, the director of the National Institute of Drug Abuse.
I'm Nora Volkow, and I wish I could be there, but my spirit is absolutely there. I have seen the catalog, and it's quite extraordinary, and it just actually, in a way, communicates so intensely the dramatic loss of someone from an overdose. I often think about it because when we lose someone that we love from an overdose, it's actually extremely difficult to comprehend and understand. And the pain always is there because there's the sense that could we have done something that is different? And when you look through the catalog and you see the drawing and the rendering of so many lives lost so early, it's heartbreaking. And in a way, when I saw it, my message was, this is why we do what we do, so that we don't lose any more people. I mean, each one of them has a spirit, and it just shines in those drawings. So I wish I were there. I think I want to thank Teresa for her outstanding work and for bringing art as a way to communicate why we need to pay attention to addiction as a disease, why we have the moral obligation to provide treatment and not neglect or discriminate or stigmatize people with addictions. We need to bring that human face into the story for it to make others comprehend how much love and how much support can make a difference for someone suffering from a substance use disorder.
So the History Center is honored to be some part in this project, and we're so appreciative for all the support of everyone in this room. Whether you wrote the stories, you drew the portraits, you shared your loved one with us, and for our staff at the History Center. We do challenging history, and we look at it as it's happening and it's impacting us. And it is a challenge for them to figure out how to put enough love and thought into that process. So I know we have several staff here tonight, and a big thank you goes out to them, and I hope if you see them, you'll thank them too. So please enjoy the rest of this evening together. I know many of you have visited the exhibition, but please feel free to go up and take your time. We'll have some light bites sort of passing around. Remember to invite others to this exhibition. It'll be open through April 15th, and we hope that the entire community does attend, and that can help us all start to really change the conversation around addiction. Thank you for coming.